Welcome to the live stream. We're going to have a conversation about why police are not good for anybody. Police are a problem in this country. Seriously, they have morphed into the slave patrol and a general nuisance, but now they are just a problem for everybody, wouldn't you say? I say everybody in the country has a problem with U.S. law enforcement at this point. And I want to bring people on who disagree with me on that point. Tell me, why do you support police officers? I want to understand why. I want to understand why anybody in their right mind would support police officers. Why anybody would ever give police their support, knowing what they do and knowing how much tax dollars they cost the American people. I need for someone to explain to me the reasons why anyone will willingly support people who enforce laws that they oftentimes don't agree with. And if when you come in, make sure you share the stream, make sure you hit the screen, make sure you give me some likes, make sure you leave some comments, guys. Let me know how you feel about it. If you have over 1,000 followers, please come on to the guest and explain to me why oh why would you support police officers? I just want to understand it, right? I don't want a bunch of comment section stuff. Come in with your real account, okay? Come in with your real account, your actual live stream account, and let's have a conversation. Because if it's just little troll accounts, they gotta go. They gotta go. I don't want to hear from troll accounts. I want to hear from the people who sent you, right? Let's have a conversation. Let's stop ducking and dodging. Let's stop hiding in comment sections. I want to have the conversation. Why do you support U.S. law enforcement? I need to know why anyone out there in America will support them, given the current state of U.S. law enforcement in this country. Why anyone would give their support willingly to a force that enforces things that most Americans don't even agree with. Why anyone would give any support to a force that costs you more tax dollars at some points than it costs for the total cost for units going to war, including whole drone squadrons. Did you actually know that? See, I need for someone to explain to me, why is it that you think that it's okay for me to pay for police misconduct settlements, like right here in the city of Tacoma. We just paid out a 1.25 million dollar settlement to a man who was injured by a police officer who started a chase with a black woman when the chase wasn't even justified. Yeah, that's absolutely true. If you look up the Pentagon records, in fact, I'm going to do this for you live. I have a desktop right here. In fact, for OTB, the label, I want to look this up for you live. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my desktop, right? I'm going to prove to you live that it costs you more money in police misconduct settlements than it costs for whole units to go to war. So I want to see. See if I can find that report again. Let me see if I can find that report again. I want to see if I can find that report again. For the unit breakdown, I know I can find it again. I know I can find it again. I think I found one. And I want you guys to see this, right? I want you guys to see how much it costs you for... Boom, I found it. So let me go and cross-reference this. I want you to see this, right? So let me go to 538. Police misconduct settlements. Okay. All right, so what I'm about to do live is crazy. I'm going to prove to you live that it costs you more in tax dollars than it does to settle these police misconduct settlements than it does for whole units to go to war for the military. So what I'm going to use, right, I put this in the actual video. So this is a 2016-2017 Pentagon report on military spending, right? And it was reported in April of 2022, but we have an actual spending report that details a lot of the spending that we did during some of the years that we were at war. And I like this list here because it shows you a lot of stuff. I believe this is the list. I believe it is. Because I had a good list. Boom. There we go here. Weapon systems here, right? So we can compare look at the cost for units for the actual millions for the weapons units for 2022 and 2023. Look at this, right? The Joint Strike Fighter, the
the tankers, the Poseidon, Super Hornets, King Stallion helicopters, Advanced Hawkeye, Apache helicopters, Black Hawk helicopters, Ospreys, Reaper. The Reapers are the unmanned aerial drones, armed Overwatch. So check out the millions there, right? And go look over here to the actual police misconduct settlements. Now, if you go down here and you actually compare them, you can actually see, boom, look at that list. It's actually costing you more in New York City alone, and in Chicago and LA and in DC alone, than it costs for you to go to war. And if you think that's crazy, listen, I'm gonna show you something that's even crazier. Give me a second. Let me look this up real quick. There's actually an even more detailed list of this. Whereas I put this in my video. I want you guys to see this. This is pretty wild. I want to find that one budget overview that I found. Where's that budget overview that I found earlier? Because that was wild. So what I'm looking up right now is how much we spent in terms of let's see. Okay, here we go. I want you guys to see this here, right? Right? So, estimated costs. This is coming from the comptroller for the DOD, as you can see from the actual web address here. So, I want you to see this right here. This is from February of 2020, right? Look at the costs here, right? The number of taxpayers and the actual costs. Look at the costs here, right? And you go back over to the police misconduct settlements, you're actually paying more for police misconduct settlements, bro. And it's not just New York, Chicago, Los Angeles. It's also DC. And DC is not a heavily populated city. It's not. The District of Columbia is not super duper populated. Yeah, they have super duper dense cities. I get that, but overall, they're not super duper populated. You're seeing cities like, Springfield, Massachusetts. Massachusetts is not a hugely populated area. Neither is Boston. Boston has a whole lot of people, but not that state. You got Springfield and Boston from the same state on the same list. New Orleans, North Charleston, South Carolina. I'm from South Carolina. Charleston, South Carolina. I'm from South Carolina. It's not a hugely populated state. So why is it costing us so much money in police misconduct settlements that it costs for us to go to war? That's absurd. That's absurd. That's absurd. You can't talk around it. Well, it's the Democrats. Democrats, Republicans, guess what? It doesn't make police look good. You have to concede that. I don't want to hear the excuses. You make excuses in my chat, you gotta go. You gotta go. Flip-flops, you gotta go. Nope. Because if you're gonna make any criticisms towards me or towards anything I present, you gotta first start off with, okay, police are wrong for that. Police are wrong for that. That's how you gotta start. No excuses. That's wrong. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. The overall point is that police are wrong and they cost you money. You got to concede that. You got to concede that. That's gross. That's gross. Why do we as taxpayers pay for that? Why can't you, when you mess up on your job, you pay for it? That's how it is for every other job, right? So I just proved to you live, right on camera, and knows how no one's who is pro-police, they're just conceding the point. They're saying, well, it's Democrats. Concede the point. That's bad. Why can't you just say that? Why? Why? It is so sad when Blue Lives Matter and people who support police officers just can't be honest. It is so sad that you can't have honest conversations with these individuals around, because you understand the moment you mention anything, right? Right? The moment you mention anything about police, they're always going to deflect. They can never just concede, you know what? Maybe the American taxpayers shouldn't be paying more, right, for police misconduct settlements than we do for the cost of going to war. This is the estimated cost of going to war for Syria, Afghanistan, and Iraq for every calendar year. And if you look at every calendar year, they even give you the number of taxpayers, and they give you the estimated cost per millions. And as you can see, it costs you more, right, in police misconduct settlements than it does for you to pay for units to go to war. That's gross. That's gross. That's gross. I don't support all police. You don't support any police in my live chat. No, they're all wrong for that. They're all wrong for that. All of them take the blame for that. Not just a few. They all do. You want to know why? Because as soon as I criticize one police officer in one area, they're going to say, well, there's a police officer who's good in another area. Well, if there's so many police departments who are costing us that amount of money, then they all have to answer for that. If not, they all have to speak up, because whenever I criticize one, they use the other to defend the other. So if you can do that, then intellectually speaking, if you're going to be intellectually honest, then also take the blame when one of your peers does something wrong, because you take the credit when they do something heroic. That's called fair standards. And if you say anything other than that's called fair standards, you leave my chat. Sorry. Period. No. The one thing that I can tolerate people not agreeing. What I can't tolerate is inconsistency. I can't tolerate that. You want to know why? Because when I was a child, man, I had this really, really bad habit of holding people to their word. And I learned at a very early age, you should hold people to their word. So when you say stuff, I want you to mean it. I want you to use your words. Like they tell you in kindergarten, use your words, use your words. So when you say things, you're going to mean it here. Okay? Because I'm sick of hearing about all these good cops, all these good apples. Well, if the good apples are so good, right, then when the bad apples are bad, speak up, say something. Because if I can run a channel where I put out anywhere from 8 to 12 videos a day, the vast majority of those videos being bad cop videos, whereas I look up cops doing everything. I mean, you can name any kind of crime that you could possibly imagine. I covered one today where you had a police officer. Oh my gosh. You had police officers in Ohio who arrested a man because he made a parody Facebook page criticizing them, and the Onion came out in support of this man. You know you are on the wrong side of an issue when the Onion comes out against you. When the Onion says acab, that's how you know we have reached full parody level, folks. And as soon as I say that, right, as soon as I say the Onion came out against police, you will have people who support police officers who still won't concede the point. That's gross. Is there any level of corruption? Any level of corruption that you won't say is enough? Any level of corruption. If you just concede some things, maybe you'll find people will be easier. When I say concede things, be intellectually honest. Don't just say, well, okay, I agree there are problems. No. Say acab. Until y'all change, acab. Until y'all change, I don't trust any of you. That's how it works. Period. So my whole thing is, I'm so sick of these people making every excuse you can name, you can think of for police officers. I'm so sick of that. Because the grossest part about that, the grossest part is that you complain about welfare, you complain about wasteful spending, you complain about big government spending, you complain about that so much, right? And yet, when I show you all those numbers of all the police misconduct settlements, you can't just concede, okay, that's wrong. Look at all these numbers. Is that right to you? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? I don't care about Democrat-run cities or Republican-run cities. Yes or no? Is that right? Is that wrong? If you can't say that, if you can't say that, then I can't help you. Then I can't help you. If you can't say, if you can't look at those numbers and go, you know what, that's just wrong. Right? I can't help you. I don't want to help you. I don't want to. People like that will come and go. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. And everyone talks about it's a Democrat-run city, Republican-run city. How about this? Acab. Democrat or Republican state, acab. Independent state, acab. Libertarian state, acab. I don't care what politics that state has, acab. I don't trust any of them. So when you mention politics in my chat, you get banned. Because this ain't political. This ain't about political football. Neither side cares about bad cops. If the Democrats cared, they would have fixed LA by now. The LAPD. If Republicans cared, they would quit. They would quit worshiping police officers, but they don't. So I don't want to hear about your political football. Not in my chat. Not in my chat. Because Joe Biden says, hey, we shouldn't defund the police. We should fund the police. And Republicans, they are hopelessly lost on the issue. So I don't want to hear your political football. I'm not a Democrat or Republican. If you claim that I am, you're getting banned from my chat. Because I'm getting tired of that stuff. You know, it gets to the point where you get tired of repeating the same stuff. Just because you like living under tyranny doesn't mean that the rest of us do love living under freaking tyranny. Some of us like liberty. Some of us don't want to be stepped on. Some of us don't like the boot. Some of us don't want to pay for police misconduct settlements. And that's fair. There's nothing you can say to that, but okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Some of us are saying that police should pay for their own misconduct settlements. Right? That's fair, right? That's fair, right? If you talk around the issue or say, well, it's Democrat run city, then you get banned from the chat, and then I'm going to point out how that's silly. I don't care about your political football when issues are like that. Okay? When I look at New York, right? And the yearly average for police misconduct settlements over a period of 10 years, is 170. It's over $170 million every year. And in 10 years' time, the New York City taxpayer, in just New York City, we're not talking about New York State, just New York City has paid out over $1 billion in 10 years. My God. My God. That is absurd. Can you think of how much money? Can you think of how how many things could have been done with over $1 billion? You know how many families could have been helped with inflation, with gas prices? How many families could have been helped with some of the rent prices in New York? Have you seen some of the rent prices? It's absurd there. How can you live there? That $1 billion plus that New York taxpayers spent on police misconduct settlements could have been spent better on helping American families. But instead, we spent it on pigs. And now you want to tell me about how you support police officers? You want me to respect that? I don't respect that. I refuse to. I refuse to. I refuse. I refuse. If you can't look at that and say that's wrong, then I can't help you. And honestly, to be quite honest, I don't want to help you. You lost cause. And it's 2023. It is too late in the game to be playing these games. We are too late in the fourth quarter. So America, get it together. Because the American people are tired of paying for these police misconduct settlements, these pig misconduct settlements. We're sick of it. You got money for all this crap, but you ain't got money for reparations? Really? Black Americans in particular, we are sick of that. You got money for everything else, including paying for these pig misconduct settlements, but you ain't got money to make anything happen for Black Americans, the very people who built this country. But you got people out here talking about, well, you know. Well, see, I feel the streets should be safe. Yeah, I feel the streets should be safe too. And guess what? The way that you do that is by investing in the communities, by getting rid of some of these pig misconduct settlements. When someone out there with a badge does something wrong, you fire them. Have them locked up. You put people behind bars for the silliest crimes with no victim. But you got police officers out here doing some of the most heinous, disgusting stuff out here imaginable. And yet these people are walking free right now with probation. And I know because I cover a case like that on average at least once a day. Don't believe it? Go ask some of my audience. They'll tell you. They'll tell you. And do you know who pays for all the police misconduct settlements when the victims sue? We do. I pay for that. I pay for that. Like I said earlier, there was a police misconduct settlement that happened in Tacoma in Washington State for $1.25 million paid out to a man. And guess who got to pay for that? I live in Tacoma. People like me. So when my gas prices are freaking sky high, or when those taxes are freaking sky high, guess who I have to blame for that? Partially, the police. For things that did not have to happen. If you can't look at that and go, that's gross, that shouldn't be happening, that the police should take 100% responsibility for that, and all of them, not without exception, all of them. Until they speak out, they are complicit. They all bad. Because if they're costing me this kind of money here, they're probably costing you a bunch of money too. Because that list that I just showed you, that does not look like a short list. These are all the ones that we actually know about. Did you know that most of these cases, that most misconduct cases come with an actual NDA, so that you can't actually get access to the actual misconduct settlement? That when a settlement is offered, there's a non-disclosure agreement that's actually signed, so you can't actually get access to the actual lawsuit files because they're sealed. Or there's an actual agreement in which it can't be discussed or talked about, even by the victim that got paid the settlement. So I want you to understand something, right? I know all this because I used to work law enforcement. I know all this. And I know about victims not getting justice. That's why I went into law enforcement originally. See, something happened to me. I'm going to go ahead and say it on. Something horrible happened to me as a kid. Perpetrated by my older brother. The sheriff at the time was Sheriff Leon Lott in Richland County, South Carolina. I remember as a child, I walked up to a sheriff's deputy and I told him about what was happening at my house. And they did nothing. I thought I was the only one. I then got this complex with heroes, superheroes. You know, I never got protected, so I used to, have imaginary friends. I used to fantasize about a hero coming to save me. And one of the heroes that I gravitated towards was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I used to have this cloth turtle shell that I would wear on my back, and I felt like when I put it on, it would keep me safe. It never did, but it was just like a psychological crutch, I guess, if anything else. And I would tell sheriff's deputies all the time for Richard County, and they did nothing. Um, they did nothing. I thought I was the only one, so when I became a adult, I went into fields where I felt like I was a hero. That's why I went into the military. I went in law enforcement because I thought I could be the hero that nobody ever was for me. That's why I do a lot of work with the homeless and everything that I do now because I want to be the hero. And I guess still to this day I'm kind of looking for a hero, and it's kind of sad, a hero that I'll never find. So I'm always trying to force myself to be that because I had to grow up really fast because in the household that I grew up in, it was no mercy. It was rough. But we were poor when I was growing up, and all that trauma it didn't help. But as an adult, I thought I was the only one who had that experience with that particular sheriff's department covering up what happened to me or even not investigating it. Then I became an adult, and I heard from other people who were victims, who weren't heard by the same sheriff's department. I met a woman named Brenda Bryant whose daughter had something horrible happen to her. Same sheriff was involved, and he covered it up, and she sued in the South Carolina Supreme Court, and she won a case called Madison Bryant v. Babcock Center, and she won that case. Um, I interviewed Brenda Bryant, and then there were some high school girls at Spring Valley High School. One of Leon Lott's own sheriff's deputies, he perpetrated that. Multiple girls too. Um, he covered it up. He lost in 8 different federal cases, and it's to the point where qualified immunity is not even protecting Leon Lott in civil cases, specifically for covering up that type of crime, the essays. Um, when I went in law enforcement, I went into corrections. I could have went to be a normal cop, but I didn't want to do that because I had a hatred towards it almost. Um, but I figured corrections that'd be a way for me to. I was told that it was a way to serve my community and be the hero. And when I went into corrections, I saw so much wrong with law enforcement. Like I remember one of my first encounters with the FBI. My next door neighbor, he worked corrections too, and he was indicted because he assaulted an actual inmate. And the FBI knocked on his door. No. The FBI knocked on my door looking for him because they thought that we were like roommates or something. Um, and so they interviewed me. I didn't even work like the same shift, but it was stuff like that, like just back to back. And I just quit because I figured that I joined to try to change things, to try to get some sense of self satisfaction where I could feel like I didn't have to be the scared little boy anymore. And I found myself fighting a corrupt system, you know. And then I became a whistleblower. And I took all the skills that law enforcement and military, especially IT work, and I took all that skills and I use it against law enforcement now. Because be it a child or be it when I actually work the job, the world needs an acab devil. I don't want um sorry, I don't want other kids to feel what I felt, man. I've had people call me a liar most of my life. And all the other stuff about Leon lies true. I mean, it didn't matter. People barely believe women as victims. I don't think people know what it's like to be a male victim. It's like you don't even exist. And people don't think that all the same pain and torment and trauma that everyone else feels, that you feel too.
There's got to be a reason why someone like me would sit and put out 8 to 12 videos a day going after cops intentionally. It's rage and trauma. I know what it's like to be ignored. I know what it's like to spend most of your life thinking that stuff like that was your fault and it wasn't your fault. But you blamed yourself anyways because you were always taught that bad things only happen to bad people. You know, that's why I make so much content in which I chastise people for criticizing the homeless, thinking that homeless people they end up in their situation just because of something that they did wrong. Because I know bad things happen to me and it wasn't my fault. Are you saying that it was my fault that things happened to me? It wasn't my fault, you know? And I know those people out there, it wasn't their fault either. Things happen to people. You can't look at the end result of someone and think that that speaks to their whole being. You're nothing but a sum total of your life experiences. You know, so when people say things like, well, who are you going to call when you need police? Do you understand how traumatizing or how disgusting that is to ask somebody after you just heard this? I did. I did. I did. And that's why when you say things like that, why I react negatively to that. And if you hear that and you can't have empathy or you can't just say, okay, let me step back and maybe my perception of the police is just screwed up. I don't want to go through the labor. I don't want to go through the labor. It's just it gets to the point where I want people to understand what I'm doing is not a labor of hatred, it's a labor of love. Because there's so many people out there who don't have a voice. And it's very easy for police to use local media. Listen, when I worked corrections, I saw police departments and even the Department of Corrections in South Carolina use local media to spin narratives against people. You know, I've seen police unions use their massive power and influence. They are political machines, man. Like you can't tell me about teachers unions and all the power of unions, but then don't mention a union where every member is guaranteed to be armed. Come on, man. Like if you can't look at that and go, okay, they have too much power. Come on, man. Like it's just to the point where there's so many victims that I don't know if I can cover all the stories. And that's the part that keeps me up. The problem and the part that keeps me up is how many people are out there that can make me feel like I'm not so lonely. How many other people out there were hiding in the closet just like me? I'll never know. But there's nothing worse than when someone who's like me, you know, I'm a combat veteran rated at 100%, former law enforcement officer, college educated, all American as you can get, all American as you can possibly get. When it gets to the point where someone like me gets to this point, something's wrong. That's all I got for tonight, guys. I I run my channel as a way of venting my anger. And if I can be useful to you guys by doing that, great. But I try to add comedy and humor to my videos, and I try to add, some intrigue to my videos, because otherwise I don't just want to read you off the news. I want to give you my take too, you know. But I do that to inform people, but it's also partially for me because I want to know that no one else has to hide. I want to know that just for myself. I want to know that when I lay down at night, that someone else ain't hiding in the closet because of a pig. And I understand that my personality is weird, quirky. I um I have my ways about me. But if even 25% of what I just said is true, how do you expect me to turn out? Mm. That's all I got, guys. I do this because I want to, but also because I have to. I can't I can't let it happen to other people. I failed in stopping Leon Lot. I failed in stopping so much of the other stuff, and I live with that. I didn't stop Leon Lot the first time, so it happened to other people. And you could tell me it's not my fault to you. The cows go home, but I'll always believe it because the excuses, they don't matter to those high school girls at Spring Valley High School, right? Someone's got to take a stand. And yeah, I've lost a lot. I've been taken through family court. I mean, they will do everything to try to silence you, right? They'll talk to the judge. They'll have you. I'm paying darn near $1,200 a month for one kid for child support. One kid did that intentionally. Did that intentionally. I'm federal. You do know you can Google me, right? But in fact, no, it's very interesting. Someone said that. I want you to see something real quick, man. So I had a bunch of people write some news articles about me, and I didn't even know this. So my real name is Dion, right? And I want you to see something real quick. So I'm gonna go to Google, and you can. It's kind of crazy that I can go on Google and I can look up my name, and there's actual news articles about me in terms of the work I did. So I don't think the federal government really cares, really likes it when you're known to expose cops. I don't think the federal government likes that very much. Yeah, I'm known for this. It's kind of what I do. It's like my career. So like I'm kind of professional like pest when it comes to like cops, right? And I'm gonna go back here. There's another one here I did. The one with Kenny Boone, that was a crazy one right here. So yeah, that headline is like a real headline, right? Um, so I got hit with 1,200 because they based my child support on the amount of pay I got from the VA, and they based it off of old combat pay, even though I wasn't in combat. Like just dirty stuff like that. Um, they took out a warrant for my arrest. I couldn't even come home to see my own mother's funeral. They dropped the warrant, but they took out a warrant for my arrest. Even though I wasn't in the freaking state, I missed my mother's funeral. She passed away in March of last year.
They did that intentionally so that I wouldn't even be able to come home and see my son on my mom's funeral. If I were so dangerous, right? You don't think that the police know where I am, like right now? Why have I not been arrested? I've been on live stream right in front of cops' face. Why would you suddenly just drop all the charges? I didn't get to see my mom. I don't think people realize how close I've been sometimes. Um, my grandma always said my best quality was my resilience. How much can one person take? It's crazy. How do you drop something? If I actually did something, why do you just drop it? The only joy that I do get is I did get more than 100 cops fired in the past 2 years. I took joy in that. And some of them ended up homeless. Good. They deserve it. I take joy in revealing the names of police officers because they're public servants. So you want to target me? Fine. Then you can't have your privacy then. Period. Point blank in the story. In fact, I'm in Washington State, and something called a public record sorcerer. So if you look up public record sorcerer, I'm not going to show it on screen because that would be something bad. But if you look up public record sorcerer, and no, you know what? I'm going to show it. You can get the whole entire state list for Washington State police officers. That's where I currently am right now. So I'm going to show you that right now. The public record sorcerer. This is not doxing because this is already on the internet and these are public officials. Now, I'm going to show you something real quick. If you look on this website here, check this out. You can find a complete list of all Washington State police officers. Every last one of them. They have them all. I mean, and they even have them for like PDF lists. So let me ask you a question. Right? That's the actual list. They even have the actual equipment list. They have all that stuff. All of it. I'm showing you the website. In fact, if you want to go to the website, it's called publicrecordsorcerer.org. Right? Publicrecordsorcerer.org. As you can see. I just want you guys to see that. Because that's the kind of work that I do. I find stuff like that and I make it public. Because if you're going to have police officers out here covering up awful stuff, you want to have police officers out here doing disgusting stuff, you want to have police officers out here getting away with essays and CP and just walking away with freaking probation, okay, fine. You want to be dirty? I can play dirty as well. I am sick of the corruption with law enforcement, so I'm going to force you to change. Or you don't get to have privacy. Deal? Deal. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for me tonight, guys. You have a good day. Be safe. Horns up. Peace out. Good night. And good luck.